Maybe I should be taking some notes from this movie. Maybe for my advertising, I should do the acid rain, highway killings, terrorist explosions method. Maybe I should make people too scared to miss this podcast. Anywho, it's Support Your Local Podcast, the show where we take a look at some of our favorite movies one chapter at a time. I'm your host, Robert Smith, coming to you as always from beautiful Tombstone. Yes, that one. If you can't tell from the intro, today we are looking at Scrooged, the Bill Murray Christmas classic, in what is our penultimate episode of the 8 Christmas movies that I have to see every year series, leading us up into the intro of season 2 of Support Your Local Podcast, where we are going to be taking a look at Sam Raimi's Western classic, The Quick and the Dead. Stay tuned. So a little history about this movie. Geez, it's like a TV. This movie came out into theaters on November 23rd, 1988. It had a budget of $32 million, did have a box office of over $100 million. So was a moderate success given the cast and the director. Kind of hard not to have been, but this was really kind of the beginning of the resurgence of the Bill Murray career. He came back after a 4-year break of some relatively false starts after the whole Ghostbusters craze. This is kind of what was getting Bill Murray back into being a leading man himself, as opposed to being part of an ensemble cast where we're kind of used to, and you kind of get Bill Murray in small doses. It's kind of the exact same effect, coincidentally, of Chevy Chase becoming a leading man. It's the breakout stuff. So I don't know if it's Caddyshack fever, if it's SNL fever. There is a history between those two. If you ever want to have some fun, go on the internet and research the rivalry between Chevy Chase and Bill Murray. That's always a little bit of fun. But it was kind of the resurgence of the Bill Murray character, to where we would get things after this like Groundhog Day, Lost in Translation, things like that. So he's had several good leading man starts and stops throughout his career. But let's just be honest, it's Bill Murray, guys. My history of it, what we mentioned a few episodes ago with Arthur Christmas, that there are two movies that Jess and I will pretty much watch on a constant loop during the Christmas time season, especially when we're up wrapping gifts. This is the Arthur Christmas was one of them. That one's a little bit more kid friendly, to where if there's any risk or hope of one of the children coming in and interrupting us, we don't have to dive for the remote and turn it off. Not that this is a filthy movie by any stretch of the imagination. We kind of guard our kids a little bit from that type of stuff. Arthur Christmas is a little bit more safe, obviously, but this is the other one. Scrooged is definitely the other one. I had seen the cover of this movie on the VHS and DVD box. I had seen it for years in Blockbuster and later on Family Video, RIP, both of those guys. But I never got around to watching it. I think that I saw the cover, and not being at that time, let me reiterate, at that time as big a fan of Bill Murray as I probably should have been. For let's just be honest, for every Ghostbusters, there's a man who knew too little. He doesn't, when he hits him out of the park. But otherwise, there's a lot of grounding right to first base. Baseball reference. I didn't expect that from me. But anyways, I just thought that it was going to be a bad version of A Christmas Carol. To which, spoiler, if you've never seen this movie, it is an adaptation of A Christmas Carol. It's set more in the height of the 1980s New York yuppieism. So it's not Ebenezer Scrooge directly. Christmas Carol actually exists in this world. Bill Murray is a TV executive that is putting on a version of A Christmas Carol live on Christmas Eve, making him the bad guy, making people work like that on Christmas Eve. But when I saw the cover, I didn't know any of that stuff. I just thought, oh, wow, this is Bill Murray playing Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. That's interesting. And not spoiler, being a fan of the George C. Scott version of The Christmas Carol, I just thought that this was going to be another not so good one. Yeah. So it wasn't on my list of things to watch. So fast forward in retrospect, I owe Jess for getting me onto this one. I think I first watched. I think I watched it for the very first time with her. She kind of turned me onto it, and we watched it. And after looping it so many times, this may be close to one of my most watched ones out of all of them. So just in the years since I was introduced to it, I've probably caught up, excuse me, I've probably caught up with a lot of the movies that I've been watching since my childhood, just on sheer repeat viewings alone. Some of the pros of the movie, the script, improv or not, there's some debate on just how much of it was improvised, having somebody like Bill Murray on your cast and the cast of comedians that are in this. But there is a lot of quotable lines that I will pull into my everyday conversations with people. I mean, you have the bitch hit me with a toaster is just one of my personal favorites. But you have so many ones to where somebody makes a bad joke when I'm around, when I'm around Jess. I will do the fake guffaw that Bill Murray does, a ha ha, and then just kind of taper off, and she'll giggle a bit. But yeah, a great cast. Again, improv or not, I'm not sure, but there are quite a few quotable lines that come from this movie. Speaking of cast, it's Bill fucking Murray, man. I mean, I know that's not your middle name, but God, to steal a line from Zombieland, it's Bill Murray. And it's Bill Murray when he was really good. And it's Bill Murray kind of doing his best, being a smarmy a-hole. I mean, I just said Bill fucking Murray, so I guess I can say asshole. But it's Bill Murray. And, if this wasn't kind of the stepping stone into the character that he did in Groundhog Day, I don't know what is, but this was definitely the genesis of seeing Bill Murray going through a redemption arc with his character. So, but along with Bill Murray, you have Bobcat Goldthwait, which, love him or hate him with that voice, does a fantastic job in this movie. Elliot Vandermilk, just great. A lot of the classic quotable lines come straight from him. Carol Kane, Robert Mitchum. Shout out for Robert Mitchum, again, being a Western fan. That's my Rio Bravo dude right there. Or excuse me, no, that's my El Dorado dude. See, that's the confusion with El Dorado and Rio Bravo being the exact same frickin' movie. That is my El Dorado guy right there. Karen Allen, of course, from the Indiana Jones series, still continues to scare me a little bit. More on that later. It's not in this episode, but if we ever do anything about the Indiana Jones series. Some of the cons, holy 1980s Batman, the costumes. And by costumes, I mean wearing the normal everyday stuff that people were actually wearing during the 80s. Pants up to your nipples with a belt, and a very blousy shirt was apparently the thing to do back then. I feel sorry for Bill Murray's brother, which is his in real life brother, but in the movie plays his brother. His wife is the lady from Dream On is what I remember her most from, but she's also from, I believe, Hot in Cincinnati or whatever the Betty White vehicle was. It's her as well. I mean, she is just rocking these khakis that are literally like over her boobs, and there are just so many pleats everywhere. I didn't know you could fold a pair of pants that many times into pleats, but pleats all around. Everybody, you get a pleat, and you get a pleat, and you get a pleat if you got the Oprah meme going. And then the ending, I'm not a big fan of the ending, I'll be honest. Through and through the story, it's great. And then it just kind of ends. There's a impromptu bit of singing from everybody in the cast and the crew and all that. And if this was a wrap up credits scene, I would get it, but the ending is just kind of weak sauce in regards to. So the Bill Murray character, comes to redemption, and not to be confused with the city redemption. Stay tuned for that, season 2, The Quick and the Dead. But he comes to his redemption as a character and stops the production happening in the middle of Christmas Eve, and is threatened to be thrown off the station. But then maybe Robert Mitchum won't do it because it's Christmas and he's got a feel good moment. But it just kind of ends and everything wraps up. There's not really a pivotal moment that creates that, and it's always just kind of landed flat with me. And the fact that I hate that song that they sing, the Put a Little Love in Your Heart, I'm just not a fan. And to hear several dozen people singing it, not really very well, just doesn't, I don't know. I don't dig it, the ending. Finally, does it make me cry? I'll be real with you. Sometimes. And it's not the ending, as I just kind of went over, but now that I'm a dad, and I say now, I've been a dad for, over a decade now, but now that I'm a dad, the scene where they go into the past, where Bill Murray's character was a kid, and you get the mother's love part of that thing, which, first off, she's rocking and smoking while she's pregnant for her brother. Always sticks out to me, always cringe moment, but whatever. They're making the point that everybody smoked back then. But anyways, the mother's love scene of that will, from time to time, again, as I've repeated on, if you haven't gotten the pattern yet of, a lot of this depends on my mindset going into Christmas, but a lot of times that may catch me off guard, and that may get me a little bit. But it is a good movie. It's a great movie. Again, I will watch it at the drop of the hat. I'll watch it throughout the year. I'll watch it 20 times during the Christmas season. It is a Christmas classic. And again, I didn't necessarily start this 8 movies series ranking any of them in order. I don't know that I can rank all of them in order. Because it all fluctuates from year to year on which ones I watch more and which ones I'm looking forward to more. But, truth be told, if I was going to have a top 2, this one makes it. I don't know that it's my top 1. Spoiler, I think that I may have saved that one for last. If you have any guesses on what that last one is going to be, please hit us up on social media. Let me know what your guesses are. But yeah, that has been the Christmas classic Scrooged with Bill Murray. You can usually find this on Amazon, on several different platforms. It's usually a relatively easy one to find. But yeah, if you've never seen it, I recommend giving it a go. If you're a Bill Murray fan, you probably have already seen it, but if not, you probably should. It is one of his better ones. I will stand by it. To this day, I can probably quote it verbatim right now if I'm not careful. But that has been Scrooged with Bill Murray. And that wraps up the penultimate episode. We only have one left to go in our stretch to Christmas time. So this is releasing the week before Christmas. You can expect that last one on Christmas Eve. We're actually releasing it a day early so that you can get it into your ear holes before Christmas hits. Because I have another, top secret, don't tell anybody. I have another super secret thing that I'm going to release on Christmas Eve as well. So you're going to get a double dose. You get 2 presents for Christmas Eve from me. So you'll get our number one remaining movie of the 8 Christmas movies that I have to see, and then another nice little special, just a little thing from me to you guys for being awesome and listening to us. If you have not already, please, please, please hit that subscribe button on whatever podcatcher that you're listening this to. It is absolutely free. It does nothing but gets this and all of our following episodes into your eardrums as quickly as possible. But on my side, it helps us out immensely. It gets us moved out in the rankings. My New Year's resolution, and I'll go over these, I have a list now. I hope to go over these a little bit closer to New Year's, but one of my New Year's resolutions, I want to be at least the number 5 podcast in Zimbabwe that goes over 1969 Western comedy classics named Support Your Local Sheriff. If you think that's a little specific, I'm sure that metric exists on Google in somewhere. I want to break that top 5. Right now, I don't know that I'm even in the top 20, but hopefully we get that a little bit better in next year. Until we meet again, folks, have yourselves a Merry Christmas. Have yourselves a Happy Holidays, however you are celebrating that. You do you, and hopefully it's a great one. It's as good as you can be. But until then, check us out on social media. We are Support Your Local Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, anything like this, I love hearing from you guys. Hit me up at SUP. That's SUPP, your local podcast at gmail.com. Again, just hit me up with anything you have on that. If you have some time, rate and review us on your podcatcher, and talk your friends into subscribing as well. Give them the free gift that keeps on giving. That's this podcast. But yeah, until we meet again, folks, I'll see you again next week. I love you as always, but remember, support your local podcast.